We are live on YouTube. First time in about 2 months, Al.
Yeah, well, where have we been?
Where have you
We've
been?
been in hiding?
I think so. All right, here we go.
Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the big show. This is Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Trading Academy. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for stopping by. Once again, I am your host, Josh Lillquist, and yes, I do have my good pal, my good friend, Mr. Al Connickson, back on the show here today. But Al, it's been about a week or two. How you been?
I've been really good. How about you, John?
I've been fantastic. It's glad to have you back on the show
Good to be
and
back.
dropping some knowledge, bringing some insights on these financial markets, the do's and the don'ts. And we will talk about income strategies today, retirement strategies, 401ks, IRAs. We have some great volatility in the markets. We have some metals that are soaring to the moon, and we're going to continue to talk about that stuff as we progress into the show here today. Before we do that, our sponsor, Trading Academy, on their 29th year, teaching people just like you how to invest and trade. So whether you're brand new to the markets and have never invested or traded before, Trading Academy has strategies to help you get started confidently. Also, if you've been in the market for many, many years, say you're investing in your retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, or just simply buying and holding stocks, Trading Academy has strategies for you as well. And we have physical locations all across the country, matter of fact, all across the world, to guide you through these volatile markets. And all it is opportunities for us public. Retail folk is what we like to call it. And all these opportunities happen every single day. The good part about it is investing and trading is dictated by you. You can direct your strategy. You direct your time, your schedule, your capital. So everything that we can do in these markets, we can create and actually have a strategy for that. But you got to do that with confidence. So Trading Academy has strategies just for you. Let's do a quick market update. As we know, the stock market really showed a little bit of volatility. Once again, it's a broken record. On Tuesday, after the holiday, it gapped down but showed some major strength right after that. Gapped up on Wednesday, so it's amazing how this market just keeps to show that resiliency. And I'm talking about the S&P 500. Actually, it dropped down to about, we'll call it 6,361 area. Closed on Tuesday at 6,415. Gapped up on Wednesday. So we know what happened the rest of the week. So we had some nice volatility. But a lot of that, what happened on Tuesday was that the federal appeals court ruling deemed President Trump's global tariffs illegal.
Right.
So that's going to show some uncertainty as the tariffs remain in place pending appeal. So the Treasury, U.S. Treasury yield, the 10-year was at 4.27. The 30-year was at 5%. So it's crazy what's happening with every part of the market. You have the bonds, you have these stocks, you have metals that are they're doing different things, and it's showing a ton of opportunity. Speaking of your metals, gold and silver, wow. We've been talking about this for quite some time, but gold over $3,550 per ounce, and that's great for us physical gold holders. I'm liking that right now. Then you have the silver, $41, and I think that's an all-time, well, it's probably not an all-time high. I'd have to go back on the chart and look, but it's crazy. We've seen some big volatility, big up moves with silver as well, so some huge opportunity with those metals. But is it too late, right? So that's the key, is proper market timing, and we're going to talk about that as we progress in the show here today. But Al, we have some big moves and some big volatility, which creates opportunity. What is your opinion on these markets moving forward, and how can you help our listeners invest with confidence?
Yeah, well, there was several things that you asked there, but as far as the markets are concerned, we're seeing, you mentioned tariffs. Tariffs again are back in the news. That issue has had big impact on the movements of the markets. You mentioned gold. One of the reasons that gold and silver are up so much is that people have rotated out of some of the more high risk stocks like the tech stocks and are moving into something that's a little more secure. There's some concern out there. There's a lot of things happening that are catalysts that could create something that will turn this market a different direction. We saw, on earlier this last week, the market, I think the Dow was down over 500 points for a while.
Yeah, about 560 at one point.
Yes, and then I think what happened is a lot of the pundits and a lot of the people that are writing newsletters were saying, this might be the start of something big. This might be what we have been waiting for and we've been really concerned about for some time. So a lot of people, I think, believe that, took that to heart, and then either sold things, which probably drove the market down a little bit more, or just decided to stay on the sidelines. And then we saw the market come back after that. It wasn't what they were telling us. So that's, again, one of the reasons not to listen to what you're hearing out there, but just to follow what the big institutions are doing. The gold issue, here's one of the concerns. The central banks that typically buy our treasuries now hold more gold than they do US treasuries. And that's a concern, because that's where we get a lot of our money. A lot of what we use to keep this country going comes from selling treasuries. Mm-hmm. So there's a concern there.
Yeah, what's interesting, you mentioned the pundits, the people out there that say certain things. And if you think about it, all that really is, it should be to us, is just entertainment. And you can't make your decisions based off what people say out there on TV, on the old interweb, or books, all that garbage that's out there, because it's, first off, it's information that's late, but also it's an opinion that somebody else has. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we can create our own opportunities in the markets. The opportunities are there every day. We create the things or how we act upon them. And that's what Trading Academy does. By the way, Trading Academy is a physical place you can go to learn these techniques and concepts on how to get in these markets if you're brand new, or if you're a seasoned investor but looking for more consistency. And it takes a place to go. One of the things that we've been seeing with these free investing classes, Al, that we're going to be giving away seats to here in a second, is people are saying, I've always been looking for a place to go,
right,
where I can learn how the markets work, how it functions. Well, Trading Academy has been doing this for actually on their 29th year, teaching people just like you how to invest and trade. So we have these free trading and investing workshops at all of our locations. We have these locations all across the country. We're local here in Minneapolis or Minnesota. We're actually Bloomington. But we also have locations all across the metro area. So that way we're coming to a neighborhood near you to bring that financial literacy back to the US. Simply to come into one of these free investing and trading workshops, just text the word investing to the number 210-210. But you got to do that right now. Text investing to the number 210-210 for 2 seats for an investing class near you. That's one for you and a friend. Also, you can go to tradingacademy.com and you can pick your own seat there. That's tradingacademy.com. We have these classes during the week, the weekends. Al teaches these, I teach these as well. We have a good time bringing financial literacy back to the U.S. Al, we have a lot more to discuss. These segments go by so fast. We have some income strategies coming up next, retirement strategies, but also how to build that consistent strategy with your trading and investing. This is Josh and Al with Investing and Trading Live. We will be right back. And we will stay live on YouTube.
Okay, on the next segment, one of the questions you asked me was what are the things that we do here to help? And I've got a couple of things I want to talk about there, so that might be a good way to start.
All right, we'll start with that. Today's, what's Saturday's date? Today's Wednesday? So the 6th, right?
So it would be, yeah, it would be 6.
All right, 14:50 on the clock next. Let's save this bad boy. Alright, so 14:50. If you have questions on YouTube, feel free to ask any questions on YouTube and we'll try to address them as the show progresses here today. 14:50. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's go. Welcome back to Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Trading Academy. As always, I am your host, Josh Lillquist. In the last segment, we did a quick stock market update. As we know, gold and silver soaring to new highs. Silver over 41 bucks per ounce. You have gold over 3,550 per ounce. So these markets actually, Al, if you think about this, is that safe haven that's showing us, is there something that could be brewing up in the system? Well, that's a possibility. You never know, but that's why you always want to be protected in all your positions and be ready for any market condition. We did, talked a little bit about the tariffs, that was happening with that. The court ruling that deemed most of those tariffs are illegal, quote unquote. So we'll see what happens as that continues to move forward. And we had a lot of people texting in and going to the website for those free trading and investing workshops. Trading Academy is a local academy to train you the skills of investing and trading. We have free workshops to help you get started, to introduce you to the techniques and concepts that we'll be talking about on the show here today. To come in to one of these free investing and trading workshops locally at our academy, just text the word investing to the number 210-210 right now for 2 seats. That's one for you and a friend for a free investing and trading workshop. Or simply just go to tradingacademy.com. That's tradingacademy.com, and you can pick your own seat and your own date there. We also are live on YouTube, so go to the Josh Lillquist YouTube stream. But also follow and subscribe to Investing and Trading Live wherever you listen to your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And now, as we know, we had some other corporate developments this week. Kraft. They announced plans to split into 2 companies, Kraft Heinz, to enhance growth and shareholder value, impacting that market sentiment. PepsiCo, their shares rose 4% after activist investor Elliott Management took a $4 billion stake, really proposing strategies to boost stock price by over 50%, quote unquote. That's a projection, I believe, that what they're calling that. Spirit, they filed bankruptcy, and I think that is the second time in less than a year. So that's adding concerns to investors about that airline. And Intel, their stock surged after reports that the U.S. government may take a 10% stake. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, the government taking a stake in a stock. Could there be some potential manipulation there? Who knows? So we have some corporate developments and more news in there, and really pundits, as you like to call it, saying things about the markets, and it's really just entertainment. Now, one of the things that Trading Academy does is guides people through how to get started in these markets and how to do that with confidence. So what are some of the things that you're helping people with here at Trading Academy get started in these markets or build a strategy for their future?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to give them an understanding that the problem that they have as traders or investors, if they're not successful, isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of skills. There's all sorts of knowledge that's out there. There's books, there's YouTube, webinars, seminars, all sorts of knowledge that can be thrown at you, but the problem is people don't know how to use that knowledge properly. That's skills. And skills are something that's learned and built through repetition of something that works. So at the Trading Academy, what we can really do to help people is to help them learn in a very short period of time what takes most traders and investors many, many years, or in most cases, they never learn to achieve that. And we do that through the experience of professional instructors. And we're not having people go through the trials and errors on their own. These guys have already done that. They know what works and they know what doesn't work. So we want them to know not only how to succeed, but how to be able to do that in a way that is specific to them. We're teaching you strategies that are used by professional traders. And then probably the most important thing to learn, and this is where I think most people fall apart, is they don't know how to protect their assets. So one of the things that we really concentrate on is how to hedge your stocks, how to hedge your mutual funds, any asset that you have to enhance your returns and then minimize losses during market downturns. In fact, when the market's going down, you mentioned opportunities. We don't have to create opportunities. The market is providing these opportunities every day. We just have to learn the right strategies and the right skills to be able to use those opportunities to our advantage. Even when the market's going down, some of the best returns that professional traders and the successful traders get are when the market is, let's call it crashing. When the market's correcting, when we go into a bear market, some of the biggest returns are achieved during those time periods. But you have to know how to do it, and that's what you will learn. And we'll actually start to talk about that in these free classes that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned a few things there about building the skill and really having a step-by-step strategy to do that, and that accelerates that learning journey. And as we're doing the show here, as you know, we stream this live on the Josh Lillquist YouTube stream, but I had a question on the YouTube stream to talk about football. Well, we can talk about football since it is football opening week, Thursday night. The Cowboys played the Philadelphia Eagles, and if you think about it, that is very similar. Their prep is very similar to what trading and investing is, because they're planning and creating a game plan over a course of probably many weeks, months, and then on the last week really ironing down how they're going to tackle, no pun intended, that game. And that's the same thing we need to do in trading and investing. And that's what we train and teach here at the Academy, at Trading Academy, is how to have an actual step-by-step approach to the markets, easy steps within it. And it really is one of those things where it should be simple. It's not easy, but it should be simple to follow. Once you follow that plan, all you have to do is click the button. And that's how you accelerate that learning journey, is by actionable plans. So if you're looking for that actionable plan, how to accelerate your learning journey on investing or trading, Trading Academy has locations all across the country, all across the world actually, and across the metro here, where we're doing free investing and trading workshops to help you get started with these markets and build that plan for your future. If you'd like to come into one of these, just text the word investing to the number 210 right now for 2 seats. That's one for you and a friend. Or you can go to tradingacademy.com and you can pick your own seat and your own date there. We have these classes during the week, the weekends, days, mornings, evenings. Anybody can attend. We've made this available to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Text investing to the number 210 or go to tradingacademy.com. So Al, a lot of people are looking to build a plan for an income strategy.
Right.
And we talked about this last week about the differences between stocks and other leveraged assets. But I want your thoughts and opinions on what are some of the things that you help people here that are doing well financially, have great jobs, have retirement accounts, but they want to build more wealth. And how you do that is actually more income. So what are some of the things that you're doing here at the Academy to help build that strategy and accelerate that learning journey for more income strategies?
Well, yeah, people's financial lives are typically made up of 2 components. One is the income, the asset gathering component, and the other is the distribution component, the wealth building, the retirement part of their life. And to be able to have that wealth portion, you have to first of all deal with the income part of it, because most people now, in fact, probably 70%, I think is the number, 70% or more of the people in the country are living paycheck to paycheck, which means they're not getting enough income after their bills are paid to be able to address that wealth portion. So that's one of the things that we think is really important, is learning the income strategies. So instead of having to get a second job or a third job or work overtime, you can use the assets that are available in the market, in the financial markets, to kind of duplicate what you would have to go out and spend another 6, 7, 8 hours doing with the second or third job. So, but you have to understand what's right for you. So I think the way to start, and what we would have people do, and you mentioned, excuse me, a plan. We do put together a plan for each person that's specific to them. But start by doing this. Ask yourself these questions. what are your top financial goals? That's kind of what we would call your why. And unless you can identify your why, you're not gonna be able to identify how to achieve it. So what are your top financial goals? And then what are you doing to realize them now, if anything? And then are you on track to achieve them? And if not, what do you have to do differently? Many people don't know what that different thing is. That's what we do. We help you to identify, because what's different for one person may be totally different for somebody else.
Some people just think, oh, I gotta work harder. Well, you don't have to work harder, and it's not even smarter. You have to work right.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I think if you're working multiple jobs, if you're putting more time into your work, what are you doing? You're spending more time away from
Your family.
your friends. And here's something to think about. 75% of the time you'll ever get to spend with your kids is over by the time they're 12 years old. 90% of the time you get to spend with your kids will be gone by the time they're 18. Yeah, well, what do we see? We see people saying, well, I just don't have the time now to learn how to do this. You know, I'll do it later when I've got more time. And for most people, that more time never really comes. You know, they end up working more to support their families instead of learning how to improve their financial situation with, you know, with minimal amount of time, so they can spend more time with their family.
That's interesting, Al, because that's a great comment and stat there. Because people, you know, we're seeing a lot of people, they come, sometimes people come to these workshops, it's never too late, but when you're, you know, in your 50s and 60s, the good thing is you got time to make that work.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nicer to start when you're in your early 50s? And sometimes people are still building their families in their early 50s. Well, that's probably your best time, because
Exactly.
you have the opportunity to hopefully help your family more and do that. Don't just do this for you. Learn these skills for you and your family.
Yeah, even if you start with a small amount, the power of compounding is phenomenal.
Mhm.
So just start with a little bit if you need to, and just get in the habit of putting that into something. Now, the problem is, what most people have been conditioned to do is to listen to what their parents said.
Yeah.
Get good grades, get a good job, you know, put 10% of your money in the bank. That's just not working. What our parents have told us isn't working.
Yeah, that bank is, what do you get out of there? 0.0004?
Yeah, even if you have a savings account that maybe gives you 4% or so, you have to look at the impact of inflation on that. And
You know what's interesting now, you mentioned 4%, you're seeing these ads out there right now. High yield savings account is like 2%, 3%, it's like, high yield, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to get people to think? It's crazy what people are being manipulated to do right now.
Well, you know, I think that we'll probably go into this more in the next segment, but there are strategies that are really ideal for generating income. It's probably not what you're using now, the asset you're using now, which is what Wall Street wants you to use, to be honest with you, because that's where they make most of their money, and that's what makes their job easier, and that's just to put you in a stock portfolio or a mutual fund portfolio. Those are not the ideal assets to use for income, but there are some in these classes that Josh is talking about. We go into what they are. They're not only great for short-term income, we'll talk about that in the next segment, but also they have the power of leverage, which is what really gives you the maximum value out of each dollar you have.
Yeah, and we'll continue to discuss that as we progress into the next segment here, so stay tuned and make sure not to turn that dial here. But, you know, it's interesting, I was teaching one of those investing workshops recently, and one of the questions I like to ask people is how do you actually build wealth? So I'll go through a series of questions, and you get to that question, how do you build wealth? And it's crickets in the room. Nobody really knows how you actually build wealth. And some people think, oh, it's just saving. Well, how do you save? Well, you have to have income. Well, what if you have bills and you gotta have some fun? Well, it's extra income is how you build that wealth. And we'll talk about that in that next segment. But if you're one of those people that wanna build an income strategy for now, but also to save more so you can invest for that wealth bucket for later, you have to learn those techniques and strategies. And we discuss and go through those techniques and strategies, what those might look like in these free trading and investing workshops that I'd like to invite you to, simply by just texting the word investing to the number 210, that's for 2 seats for a free trading and investing workshop. Trading Academy is a local academy that trains these skills of trading and investing We have locations right here at our state-of-the-art facility here in Bloomington, but all across the metro and the country. Text investing to the number 210-210, or you can go to tradingacademy.com. That's tradingacademy.com. So coming up next, we are going to talk more about how you actually build wealth and its extra income strategies. This is Josh and Al with Investing and Trading Live. We will be right back.
So I wanted to talk about a Wall Street Journal poll that just came out that fits really well